I wanted to read this article that I actually found on Google. It's Wellness Resources. Fluoride affects brain health in children, fertility, thyroid function. This stuff is mind blowing. Anybody can search it up. Just do a quick Google search of the effects of fluoride on the brain. Okay. The widespread low level use of fluoride in American water supply has researchers and many citizens alike concerned about its long term effects on mental and cognitive health, especially in children. Cutting edge research also raises questions about the impact of fluoride on mitochondria and hormonal health. It can potentially affect fertility, there's your depopulation, thyroid health, and there's several people in my family, without mentioning names, that have thyroid issues. What it does, and I'll get down to it in a minute, is it competes with iodine to get in the system, and it blocks your intake of iodine. And that's also what causes your thyroid to get out of whack. But thyroid health and more. Iodine status must be sufficient to help offset these challenges. Fluoride sources. Fluoride is a trace mineral naturally found in the soil, foods, and water supply. Actually, there are 3 different types of fluoride, but you guys can look it up and research it. But it's in general beverages, legumes, potatoes, grain and cereal products, and root vegetables have higher concentrations of fluoride than other foods. This is the actual fluoride that comes from the ground. This isn't the one that's getting put in the water supply, but beverages made with fluoridated tap water often contain the highest amounts of fluoride. There's your tap water. Your dietary sources of fluoride include black tea brewed with tap water, grape juice, sodas, blue crab, shrimp, fruit-flavored water and sweeteners, wine, coffee, tap water, raisins, cooked oatmeal, chocolate almond milk, light beer, black bean soup, cooked carrots, cooked spinach, boiled potatoes, white rice, oysters, and asparagus. Fluoride has been added to the water supply in much of the United States since 1945 for the prevention of dental cavities. It is added to many dental care products like toothpastes, mouth rinses, which you can grab your toothpaste and read the back of it, and it says, if swallowed, call poison control. But I actually saw that on my toothpaste a few days ago. And one other thing, I grabbed a bottle of water out of the refrigerator, and it has sodium chloride. So I just Googled, is fluoride in sodium chloride? And of course, it's in there. So it seems like they're poisonous everywhere. But despite its acceptance in the U.S., other countries, however, have banned or restricted water fluoridation. I think the United States is like the last country that still puts fluoridation in all the water. As you guys probably already know, the fluoridation that they use is waste. It's like this large amounts of fluoride waste that's used in metals and all kinds of freaking crazy crap like that. But children are at higher risk. Fluoride impacts various age groups and sexes differently concerning neurological development. So this is the development of the brain in children. So our children are growing up a whole lot dumber than if they weren't being fluoridated. So obviously they're going to be more docile and easier to control. But boys appear to be more susceptible to these neurodevelopmental challenges than girls. So they're going after our men, the little boys that are going to be the men that are supposed to protect us. But infants and children retain 80 to 90% of ingested fluoride, whereas adults retain 50 to 60%. Most research focuses on early life exposure, as higher fluoride retention and exposure during pregnancy and infancy affects brain development. There it is. So you got to ask yourself, why? Why are they doing this to us when it's mainstream news? But yet everybody wants to vote on topics like making marijuana legal, or just these dumb topics with the transgender and just all these like stupid, things that people want to vote on, and they don't want to touch the subjects about how they're poisoning our youth and our children. It's just mind blowing to me. But anyway, research in older groups and brain health is less robust, but its impact is felt as an endocrine disrupting compound. High fluoride intake and low iodine status. A new July 2022 Canadian study presented concerns and findings about preschool age children who lived in areas with higher fluoride exposure. Study results showed that children who had lower iodine intake and higher fluoride intake had lower IQ scores. So, like I said, it dumbs down our children. Boys were more adversely affected than the neurological development. Boys who had equated iodine intake, even with higher fluoride exposure, however, experienced less neurotoxicity. In a different 2021 study, children ages 7 to 12 in China underwent several tests of fluoride levels and thyroid measurements. Thyroid enlargement was noted in boys with higher fluoride levels and low iodine status. Girls were not significantly impacted in this settling. It was found that adequate iodine intake helped protect against fluoride-induced thyroid gland changes. If you guys notice, they're trying to take iodine out of all of the salt. They want you to take sea salt or just all this different types of salt that doesn't have iodine in it. What we need is iodized salt, the iodine that comes from the earth. That's the type of salt we need, not this salt that has all the iodine removed out of it. But it seems like the fluoride is it's attacking the iodine, and it kind of seems like that, like it says in the Bible, it says we're called to be the salt of the world. If the world loses its saltiness, then it's good for nothing but to be trampled. So it's like they're taking the salt out of the world by introducing this fluoride that takes out the iodine that's in the salt. Additional effects of the fluoride-iodine imbalance. Animal studies with low iodine stores and high fluoride exposure also provide evidence of neurological cellular changes. Microscopic examination of brain tissue in rats showed increased free radicals and oxidative stress, apoptosis, cell death, and significant structure changes in nerves. Fluoride competes against iodine. Iodine and fluoride have similar chemical structures and can bind to the same receptor sites in the thyroid gland, gonads, and elsewhere in your body. Fluoride higher level is bigger and heavier, or fluoride, however, is bigger and heavier. It competes against iodine and will occupy receptor sites meant for iodine when it is lacking in your body. Androgen disrupting compounds affect thyroid and other hormones. Fluoride exposure is associated with higher levels of thyroid stimulating hormone TSH and lower levels of T4 and T3 thyroid hormone levels, which reflect sluggish thyroid hormone activity. Fluoride blocks enzymes related with iodine function and activation and can also block iodine uptake in the thyroid gland. High fluoride intake or low iodine intake are both independently related with greater likelihood of low thyroid function. Okay, I'm not going to read. I don't think I'll read some more of it, but I'll leave the link in the description when I get done. Okay. Fertility and sex hormones. Fluoride, androgen disrupts may affect sex hormones and fertility. It was found that men living in a fluoride polluted area have lower testosterone levels and significantly higher levels of LH, luteinizing hormone, compared to the control group. Scientists believe this reflects a disruption in the communication loop between the test and testosterone production in the brain. They concluded that fluoride's androgen disrupts effects on male reproduction may be more severe than the effects on women, of course. In adolescent female rats, a single exposure of sodium fluoride has evoked an increase in estrogen and LH hormones and estrogen receptor genes. I'm just going to read this one right here and I'll be done. Fluoride, other brain effects, and mitochondria dysfunction. Researchers also documented behavioral and mitochondrial changes in the study of fluoride's effect on fertility. Rats exposed to fluoride during pregnancy or early infancy experienced slower spatial learning, difficulty with short and long term memory, depression, and anxiety tendencies, which this depression and anxiety leads to people taking all of those other drugs that are bad for us. Males were also more prone to hyperactive behaviors. Fluoride was also found to cross into the hippocampus where it caused neurological irritation and dysfunction. This part of the brain is involved with memory, learning, and emotions. Neurotransmitters changes have been found. Increased levels of serotonin, glutamate, and histamine with lower levels of acetylcholine and dopamine were seen in the brains of rats. This affected mood stability, learning, memory, focus, and motivation, and hyperactivity in animals. Fluoride exposure induced mitochondrial dysfunction and mitochondria DNA changes. DNA changes. That's interesting, isn't it? Swollen, damaged mitochondria with high levels of reactive oxygen species, ROS, loss of cell membrane integrity, changes. I need some water. I can't talk now, but I'm almost done. But anyway, changes in the myelin sheath, fatty insulin layer around nerves, and cell death. Fluoride appears to suppress mitochondrial biogenes of birth. Anyway, you get the point. None of these effects are good on the human body, but yet they continue to poison us. And like I said in the last video, if you control the water supply, you basically control the people, just like you control the food. But anyway, guys, I encourage you to research this stuff. We're going to be talking about it Sunday on the live stream. I'll leave all that information in the description box. Anyway, you guys have a good day later on.